What's up? Welcome back. Today we are talking about why I chose the Fujifilm XF56 1.2 version 2 over the 50 1.0 and why I think you should do the same. Let's compare the two. Okay, so let's start with the obvious: cost. When anyone is making this comparison and they're wondering which of these two portrait lenses that they should buy, obviously cost comes into factor, and the XF 50mm comes in new at $14.99 here in the US, whereas the newest version of the 56-1.2 comes in at $9.99 here in the US. So a $500 difference roughly, depending on where you're at in the world, and that's not small. That's not a small amount of money. And what are you getting for $500 from the 1.2 to the 1.0 aperture? And that's kind of what got me thinking, and that's kind of what helped me make my decision. And in case you didn't know, I own the 56 1.2 version 2. Any image you see in this video will be from this lens that I took I've had it for about 2 months. In the last 2 months that I've owned it and carried it around to random places or sessions or just skate park, wherever I decided to go and have this lens in my bag, you may see images from those scenarios. So I have some notes pulled up here, so if I look away, I apologize. The next big factor for me is size. The weight alone is pretty substantial. The weight of the 50mm is 845 grams, which is more than double the weight of the 56 1.2, coming in at 405 grams. And that's not a huge deal, but once again, if you watch my last video, the main reason that I'm with the Fujifilm system again is the portability, the size of the lenses, and how much more I can pack in one single bag than I could before. Not saying I want to take a lot of lenses and a lot of different stuff, but like I said before, I want to pack some film cameras as well. So I want to have that room in one bag or one Pelican case, so I can travel lightly, so to speak. So when you're talking lenses like the 50mm that are heavier, and honestly it's longer, it's a bigger lens overall, then you are losing space in that bag to go from 1.2 to 1.0. You can see where this line is for me, I think. Another thing is 50mm versus 56mm, I think, is a very heavy component in this decision. 56mm being closer to the 85mm equivalent on full frame, whereas the 50mm is probably, and I'm just guessing, somewhere between 75, probably somewhere in 75mm range, which is a huge difference. But in my opinion, 56 1.2 at 1.2 versus 75 for the 50mm at 1.0, you don't see that big a difference in bokeh. You're not going to gather so much more light, even from 1.2 to 1.0, that it makes a big difference. I mean, if those lenses were $200 apart, maybe, just to say you have a 1.0 lens, right? Maybe, or to say that to get closer and to get that creamier background. But like, honestly, who's going to notice between 1.0 and 1.2 at those different focal lengths? I'm not saying that there's not a difference between 1.0 and 1.2. If you had the same lens, the same focal length, same focus distance, you would notice a difference for sure. Probably not a huge difference, but you would notice a difference for sure. What I'm saying is that when this lens has to come back here at 1.0 because of the focal length, basically, so you're pulling up, but you're not getting that same compression from those different millimeters. I think the playing field, the battlefield, if we will, that sounds better, is much more even. So now we have lenses that are shooting similar images as far as look or bokeh probably. And I should also preface, I've never used the 50mm 1.0, so these are just my speculations, just my opinions on a lens that I haven't owned, But just from my research and just from the things that I've read and seen online from other people who use it, and the people who have it love it. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the 50 mil. The things I've read is it's less contrasty and that it is sharper. $500 sharper. I mean, maybe it is. Is sharpness worth $500 to you? Like, because this dude is sharp. This dude's very sharp. But not like unflatteringly so, which is probably why I like it. I don't think people consider, not everybody, obviously, people who have done this a long time, like some of us, sharpness isn't always a good thing. There are times when a lens can be a little softer and be a little more flattering, especially at the longer focal lengths when you get that different kind of compression. It's nice to have some of that. I think that's part of the reason that people love vintage glass. People like Mark Bone, who shoot Helios lenses on his FX6 kit and his FX3, I believe. They love that vintage look, and it's not always because it's flaring or because it is just different and has a different character or different hue because of the glass. Sometimes because it's not so sharp. And if you think about it, anytime we're shooting video, especially we're throwing filters on the front of the glass, every time we stack glass in front of glass, we're losing some detail. It's just, we have to. I mean, light reflects and light refracts. That's probably not the right word. Bounces around in there, and like, there's no way to have the same level of detail that you would without a filter. I don't think. Not in the way I've shot it, for sure. And not that I always shoot wide open. So then there's the factor. It's like, if you want to shoot this lens at f2, you're really not benefiting much, in my opinion, from the 50 over the 56. 1.0 is fun. Don't get me wrong. I think my favorite manual focus lens I've ever used on the Fuji system, and this is with my X Pro 3. The first time I owned it, I never did a video on it, and honestly, I'm not sure I could even find images. If so, I will lay them out in this general area as I talk. Was the Speedmaster 35mm 0.95. It was cool. Like, that's a fun lens, but you're not gonna capture an event quickly with it. You're not gonna move fast with a lens at 0.095. The depth of field is so shallow. I mean, you breathe wrong and your eye goes out of focus to the tip of your nose. It's that thin. It's fun. I mean, it's a whole lot of fun. And when you nail focus, it is magical. This is partly the reason that I loved shooting the Medicon 65 1.4 on my GFX system for a while. I made a video about that as well. I could put that up here for any of you GFX people. There's plenty of those videos out there now. It is still a lens very popular. I saw a video today on Threads, or a photo post rather, where someone was so excited they got their new camera. They got the GFX 50S Mark II and the Medicon 65 1.4, and that is a fantastic combo. But that lens is also heavy. If you care about that, go back there and check that out. I think for the money, for the weight, for the results, for the room in my bag, I don't know how you don't pick up the 56-1.2 over the 50mm. I would love to know why people who have chose the 50 over the 56 did so. I want to know if they've used both of them, or if you've used both of them. How do they compare in real world use? Not just stats on the internet, not just notes in a notepad. Like, I want to know what it would look like to take both of those guys out, shoot the same subject at the same distance, for that bokeh, for the sharpness, for the contrast, like all those things. And like, at the end of the day, do you prefer one over the other as far as being in a used, like using it in a daily use or a actual live situation? Which one do you reach for most and why? The 56 is that for me. I don't like 50mm. I've said it so many times. I have a 50mm on my Leica M10, and that is the lens I have, that and a 75mm. That's the only two lenses I use on that camera for now. And that's hard for me, but that's part of the process. It's only in black and white. It's forcing me to do things that are uncomfortable, and that's intentional. It's very, very, very intentional. with my work camera, with my Fuji setup, I am very intentional as well. That's why I'm shooting a lot of primes. But I'm also in the mindset of thinking maybe I don't want all these primes. Maybe I want one lens and just go. Whether that be the 16 to 55 to 8, or honestly the lens I've been leaning toward the most and haven't really seen a video on it one way or another convincing me to buy it or not, is the Tamron 17 to 70. That's a lot of focal range at 2.8. I love Tamron glass. It's been really good in the past. I don't think it would be better than the XF glass from Fuji. I mean, the 16 mil, that's one of their top of the line pro lenses. But for 55 to 70 mil, that's a pretty big gap. That one lens would carry a lot. But I digress. Unless you made a video about that and drop it below, I'd love to see it. But again, 56 versus the 50. Some people on different forums have debated the difference in colors and contrast, but I mean, we're editing, we're shooting raw files for the most part, people. Those are achievable from both lenses. I love that the apertures on the outside still. I honestly, in the size of this thing, this is not a huge lens to be an 85 mil equivalent. It's just not. It's tiny, and this version is weather resistant, weather sealed, which I love. I love to go hiking. I love to go play in the woods. And as of making this is Friday. My wife and my youngest will leave shortly to head to Knoxville, which is the nearest large airport to us, and pick up Uni, who is our foreign exchange student that we are hosting for 4 weeks. And I hope that her love of art and photography and all these things and hiking gives us plenty of opportunities as a group to go out and shoot, and I promise you this 56 will be in that bag. Every photo that you've seen up to now is with the 56-1.2, unless I noted that it was with the Speedmaster 0.95. And then I'm just going to end this one with more photos. I'm just going to send this one off, ramp up the music, just enjoy the photos. And like I say, I've had this lens for 2 months. I've not went out and done one-on-one photo shoot with a model, like nothing like that yet. I've just done the paid work. I've just done the stuff for myself. They use it for headshots at work one day instead of a 50 mil. I hope that doesn't bite me. But all the images you're about to see have most likely been with the 56-1.2. So glad you're here. I really love it here. I'm trying more and more and more to pour into this community over anything else socially, and these are fun for me. They're hard for me, but I hope you enjoy them to some degree. As always, I forget to say this as well. I edit all of my videos with Dehancer software. They messaged me a couple months back and asked me if I'd like to try it out, and I did want to try it out. So they gave me a free copy, I'm not gonna lie, to try. And they've actually given me a discount code as well. It's Jeremygouge, which I will leave in the comments, just my first and last name. They get you 10% off of yours. And honestly, they're always rolling out releases. They're always rolling out updates. They have software for your phone. I'm a DaVinci Resolve guy. That's all I've used it with, but I know they have it for Final Cut. They have it for Adobe Premiere, all the major editing softwares that they have it. And what I like about it is, like, it does give you a film look if you want, but it also gives you finer tools. Honestly, the 2 things I use the most, the absolute most, are the black and white point controls in Dehancer, and I really, really enjoy them. So if you want to try it, or if you want to pick up your copy, use my code below, save some money. Tell them I sent you, say what's up. But if you have a different opinion, please let me know in the comments. This is a place to talk. This is a place to have those conversations. We don't have to fight about it. I don't have to be right or wrong. I just have to have an opinion, just as you do. And I would love to talk about it. Thanks for being here. I'm Jeremy. We'll see you when we see you. Later.